Everyone, welcome back to our 15-minute breakdown segment. Thank you for joining us for our session today on Is Your Brand All About CTRs and Under Focused on Post-Click Conversion? So again, we only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right into logistics. So the recording and slides will be sent to your inbox by the end of the day today. So just be sure to keep an eye out for those and feel free to share with your colleagues. Also, within the next 15 minutes, you can log back in at any time using the same link that is in your calendar hold or the one that is in your inbox. You can also download some of our recently released reports, and you can find those in the Handouts tab to the right of your screen. And also, please feel free to use our chat feature to introduce yourself and let us know where you are tuning in from. Looks like we have people from Montreal, Boston, Los Angeles, Seattle, Arizona, Dallas. So thank y'all for joining us today. So you can also submit chat questions in there as well. We'll get to those at the end during our live Q&A. We'll also have some poll questions that we'll get to in a moment. So make sure to join in via the poll tab on the right-hand side of your screen. And then I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Catherine Bishop, Marketing Coordinator at Tinuiti, and I'll be hosting the webinar today. So a little bit about Tinuiti. We have mastered the media that matters most. We are the largest independent performance marketing firm across streaming TV and the triopoly of Google, Facebook, and Amazon. We understand that success requires both strategy and channel specialization, and that approach wins us awards and recognition across the industry, such as the American Business Stevie Awards and the Shorty Awards, and also allows us to help grow some amazing clients like those that you see here. So we're really excited to have an expert from paid social with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him so that he can introduce himself.
Thank you, Catherine. Nice to see everyone. I'm Jon Oberlander, CEO of Ampush and now EVP of paid social for Tinuiti. I've been in this business since Ampush was a company of 5 people more than 10 years ago. And we sold the business to Tinuiti, completed the deal in January, and I'm now leading the broader social team at Tinuiti.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jon. We're thrilled to have you with us today. So Jon has some great content to get into, but first we would love to hear from our audience. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how well would you say that you are converting people after clicking on a paid social ad? So that poll is live right now, and you can access it at the top right of your screen if you toggle over from chat to polls. So 1 would be that you're not focusing any efforts on this, or 2, you're doing so poorly. 3, there's room for improvement. 4, you're doing this fairly well. And 5, you are excelling at this. So it looks like majority are coming in at 3. There's room for improvement. So that's awesome, because I'm sure Jon will get into a lot more with that, and I will go ahead and turn it over to him.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Yeah, looks like the answer is we got a bell curve of people saying there's room for improvement, with some a little better and some a little worse. I'll tell you briefly how we think about this and share some examples of how it's worked. So, the way I think about this, like many people trying to activate new customers are, make your dollars count, are thinking about click-through rate. And in a vacuum, like that's good. Like click-through rate is a better metric to think about than just using opinions because it's data-driven. But I'll put forward today that there's a better way to do this. And more specifically, rather than think about your conversion funnel in isolation, I want you to think about it, and I think about it the way a prospective customer would, as one single journey. And so the metric you can use to do that best, it's a metric we've talked about for a long time at Ampush, we're now talking about a lot at Tinuiti, is APM, acquisitions per impression. And if there's 3 things you remember from today, make this one of them. This metric combines click-through rate and conversion rate. And more specifically, it's a metric of yield. It's basically saying, I have all these impressions I get in front of prospective customers that I want to activate. The best way I can do that is not just by trying to get them to click, but by thinking about the fact that if and when they click, we will then follow that up with a specific experience, a landing page that could be many different things. And if those two things work well in tandem, you'll get the best yield out of what you're doing. The big win you open up by thinking about APM and that whole journey as one, rather than just click-through rate, is that if you own the landing page with the same team as part of the same activity of converting a new customer, if you consider post-click and pre-click in the same in the same planning journey, then you have unique creative freedom pre-click, and you can use that creative freedom to answer the question, why now, for prospective customers? Why should I become a customer? Why should I spend money on this? Why should I subscribe now? More effectively. And you can do that to personalize a bit and match the funnel shape with the intent of the consumer you're reaching. So today we're going to talk about 3 categories of unique landing pages or post-click experiences. I'll go into one example of each that can create wins in APM, and specifically can create wins via improving conversion by something you tease and add creative beforehand. So the first category we'll talk about is interactive post-click experiences. So think something engaging that's customized and gets to highlight the unique value props of an advertiser and is designed to expand the funnel, get more people to click and keep moving. The second category we'll talk about is a quiz, which is also interactive. I'm gonna say most of the quizzes I think people come up with when they're not thinking about marketing are for purposes of curation and helping suggest to a customer what product to buy or match an offering to a customer's preferences. I'm going to show a different way you could use a quiz for priming and improving that APM metric and getting better performance out of your campaigns. And the third one is like using content or an advertorial, specifically for high consideration products where what a consumer needs is education before they're ready to buy. So let's get into the examples. So first, this is an example with Stars. Stars is a cable network that does premium content and theatricals and has built out their direct channel pretty heavily. So the Stars streaming app, which competes with like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, whatever. And in this instance, we said, hey, rather than just a sign up page for Stars, what if we experimented with this concept of a fun wheel of stars, which you can see on the right, to get higher click-through rate, because we could say in our ads, spin the wheel and learn more about the Stars content you might love. And what we saw is this drove 60% higher conversion than a control when we were engaging with what we call evergreen traffic. So evergreen means there's no discount, there's no offer, there's no promotion. It's just like the Stars product, normal price. Do you want to sign up for it? And basically what we saw was introducing this concept of a wheel and then using the wheel to highlight specific premium content that was exclusive to Stars that based on the category of interest people signaled would get them excited. This highlighted the breadth and quality of content available, reinforced it for customers, and led to higher conversion. So this is one example. Obviously, there's many ways you could do this. Our second category example, I talked about how quizzes are often used for curation. In this case, what we called our consistency quiz was actually used just to reinforce the value prop for a prospective sign up. So in this case, we work with Instacart acquiring new shoppers for them. So Instacart is a marketplace. Many of you know it from the consumer side. You know, I need groceries delivered to me. They also need to hire a lot of part-time workers to deliver those groceries. So as we're trying to get people to sign up for that, rather than this control at the top where it's just filling out a form, we gave them an interactive quiz that reinforced the value prop and basically put different things in front of them to see which was most resonant. So what you see here is that I want to make extra cash was the value prop that resonated the most with users. I want to make a positive impact on my community did not resonate as much. And basically we were able to use that information then to reinforce the financial opportunities for prospective shoppers. And that led to a 35% higher conversion down funnel where there's actually a role selection to become a shopper than the alternative path. The last category we'll look at is this category of using more information and long form content to better explain and better convert prospective customers of a higher consideration product. So in this case, we're looking at a company called Found that is a weight loss company that offers both medication and personalized coaching. And what we learned from interviews was that people didn't really understand how it worked. So when we moved away from a control landing page and a control experience that spoke in generalities, and we got much more specific about what medication do they offer, what are the results that come from that medication, what are the potential side effects or risk, what is the frequency, how will this process go? And really, it seemed like we were adding friction because of how long this content was. This converted 10% better at scale for users who were considering becoming a first-time customer of this product, and it generated a ton of growth for us. Sometimes users want more information, not less, which could be counterintuitive, especially with these more complex or higher consideration products. So how do you operationalize all this, or how do we do it? One, you can't have your marketing team sitting in a silo separate from your site team. We'll use a subdomain where we can create landing pages specifically for customer acquisition and marketing efforts. And we'll have the teams that work on those things unified and thinking about this problem together. Two, so another one, if you're going to remember 3 things from today, you got to remember this one. Run experiments. You can't find wins if you don't try things. You know, my fastest audit when someone's like, hey, could Tinuiti make our marketing better? Can you improve performance? Is I ask, is all of your traffic going to one page, or is it most of it going to one page? Because if that's true, then yes, we can definitely make this better via experimenting for APM wins. And finally, don't shy away from adding steps. I said that already. So what you take away, more traffic doesn't necessarily mean more sales. Don't just focus on click-through rate. Consider the user journey holistically and try things that allow you to hook a user on your landing page by mentioning them in your ads to compound your wins.
Awesome. Thank you, Jon. We appreciate that. So we are actually going to go ahead and go into our Q&A. My first question would be, what have you tested that actually hasn't worked?
Yeah, it's a great question. We run so many tests that probably 40% of them don't work. You know, one example that comes to mind, we showed you that wheel of stars. We made even like a short playable game for stars where, you know, you leveraging some of the IP, it was like a magic eye game to find things. It was too much. We had too much churn after that game that it hurt APMs from a sign up perspective. But really the benefit of testing a ton of things is even if something doesn't work, you still learn something about your consumer and you can incorporate it to keep getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that game kind of sounded fun to me. But like you said, you see what works and what doesn't. So what type of infrastructure do you think that you need to do this really, really well?
Yeah, I think the key is, I mentioned this technically, whether using a subdomain or subfolder or something, have a sandbox on your site specifically to run experiments on APM, on creating landing experiences you can talk about in your ads. And then ideally have a team, whether in-house, leveraging a partner like Tinuiti, or combined between the two, that is unified and all trying to find these types of wins versus separating digital product or your e-com team from a marketing team just focused on media buying.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Well, we don't have any more time for Q&A, but really appreciate those insights. Appreciate you answering those questions and appreciate our audience for being with us today. So before we wrap up, I do want to call attention to this recently released report from Tinuiti, our 2023 CPG customer journey. So you can click the link that I just launched at the bottom left hand of your screen in order to access the report in full. And there's a lot of great data there, so be sure to check it out. And again, we want to stay as close as we can to those 15 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up, but just a reminder that we will be doing this monthly series. So with a new topic each time. So you're already registered for this webinar, you're automatically going to be registered for the next and all of the following 15-minute webinars. Our next one will be August 3rd, and that will be focused on important lessons we learned from Prime Day. So be sure to tune in then, and you will receive the recording even if you aren't able to make it. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. And thank you, Jon, for providing so many of those great insights, especially in the short amount of time. We enjoyed being with you all, and we'll see you next month. So hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.